Early on a quiet summer morning in Lexington, Kentucky, what was supposed to be a routine flight turned into an unthinkable tragedy. Comair Flight 5191, a sleek Bombardier CRJ-100, taxied out for takeoff, its passengers unaware they were heading straight into disaster. A fatal mistake, a misaligned runway, and a chilling lapse in communication would lead to one of the deadliest aviation incidents in U.S. history. Join us as we unravel the heartbreaking story of the flight that never truly took off, and the lessons it left etched in the skies forever. In the early hours of August 27, 2006, the crew of Comair Flight 5191 prepared for their journey at Bluegrass Airport in Lexington, Kentucky. The flight, bound for Atlanta, Georgia, carried 47 passengers and 3 crew members. The pilots reviewed their pre-flight checklist and taxied the Bombardier CRJ-100 in the dim morning light, navigating an airport undergoing construction. Comair, a regional airline operating as a Delta connection carrier, was known for providing short-haul flights across the United States. Bluegrass Airport, located in Lexington, Kentucky, serves as a regional hub connecting the area to major cities across the United States. Comair Flight 5191, operating under the call sign Comair 5191, was scheduled for a short domestic journey from Bluegrass Airport, LLX, in Lexington, Kentucky, to Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, ATL, in Atlanta, Georgia. The planned flight path covered approximately 480 kilometers, 300 miles, with a typical flight time of around 1 hour and 10 minutes. As a regional connection under Delta, the route was a routine link between Lexington and the bustling Atlanta hub, serving both business and leisure travelers. The flight was scheduled to arrive at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport at 7:18 a.m. The aircraft involved was a 50-seat Bombardier Canadair Regional Jet CRJ-100ER with serial number 7472. Manufactured in Canada, it was delivered to the airline on January 30th, 2001. The captain, 35-year-old Jeffrey Clay, had accumulated 4,710 flight hours, with 3,082 hours on the CRJ-100. The first officer, 44-year-old James Polhingham, previously served as a captain for Gulfstream International Airlines. He had a total of 6,564 flight hours, including 940 hours as a captain and 3,564 hours on the CRJ-100. Most of the passengers were American citizens from the Lexington area, ranging in age from 16 to 72. Among them was a newlywed couple who had been married the day before and were traveling to California for their honeymoon. The passengers included individuals from 3 nationalities: United States, Canada, and Japan. Bluegrass Airport in Lexington, Kentucky, is equipped with 2 distinct runways. Runway 22, the longer of the 2, spans 7,003 feet, 2,135 meters, and is primarily used for airline traffic, accommodating a wide range of commercial aircraft with ample length for safe operations. In contrast, runway 26 is 3,501 feet, 1,067 meters, long, significantly shorter, unlit, and designated for general aviation, as it is not suitable or authorized for commercial use. According to a memorandum issued on November 16, 2005, the regulation required 2 controllers during the overnight shift, one in the tower handling clearance, ground and tower frequencies, and the other either in the tower or remotely at Indianapolis Center, handling TRACON radar. However, on that day, only a single controller was on duty in the tower, responsible for both tower and radar duties.
Comair 191 is a taxi, we have Alpha.
Comair 191, taxi runway 22, altimeter 3000, and the winds are 3008.
According to ATC, the aircraft was instructed to taxi to runway 22, as it was the appropriate runway for takeoff, providing the necessary length for a safe departure, unlike runway 26. While the plane was taxiing to the runway, the two pilots engaged in casual conversation. It was a short flight, and they seemed quite relaxed and cheerful. The flight was scheduled for an early morning departure, so it was still very dark outside. Meanwhile, the pilots were not focused on the flight, engaging in unrelated conversations instead. In the control tower, the air traffic controller, being the only one on duty, was also very busy. It was still very dark, and the pilots were distracted, leading to a runway mix-up. Instead of waiting at the start of runway 22, the pilots directed the Bombardier CRJ-100 to the start of runway 26. They then began conducting pre-flight checks, unaware of the mistake they had made.
We're going to be on the way momentarily. Sit back, relax, enjoy the flight. Kelly, we have chance back out. Okay, that's complete. Tempo, receive gas. Check, clear. Tempo, receive gas, check, clear. Cruise time, what's in the fifth flight? Ready. All set.
The control tower at Bluegrass Airport had ground radar, but since there was only one air traffic controller on duty, handling both tower and radar duties, he failed to check whether the Bombardier CRJ-100 was positioned on the correct runway 22. This check was crucial because if the aircraft had been on the wrong runway, it would not have been able to take off, as runway 26 was far too short for the flight.
Comair 121, ready to go.
Comair 191, Lexington, tower fly, runway heading clear takeoff.
Runway heading clear takeoff, 191.
At this point, the aircraft was positioned on the wrong runway 26, a mistake that went unnoticed by both the pilots, the crew, and the ATC. To make matters worse, runway 26 lacked any lighting, further complicating the situation. Unfortunately, in the final communication, neither the pilots nor the air traffic controller specified the correct runway name. They simply referred to it as the runway, leaving the crucial detail unaddressed.
Descend 126.37, good day. 186.
Where that back on?
You flight 882, connecting, descend 126.37, good day. 186. 637.
Transponders on, backs on, bleeds closed, clear for takeoff, runway heading. 6 good. Alright. Any flight set ticket fix okay, line check squeeze. All yours, Jim. My brake's my control. Set thrust, please. Gotcha. Yeah, it's weird with no lights. Yeah. $100 checks.
4030, 2010.
We want to rotate. Whoa! Fuck! Fuck! Oh!
The captain aborted the takeoff. Please remain in your seat.
Runway 26 was too short for a safe takeoff, causing the aircraft to overrun the end of the runway before it could become airborne. The plane crashed just past the runway's end, resulting in the deaths of all 47 passengers and 2 of the 3 crew members. This became the second deadliest accident involving the CRJ 100/200, following China Eastern Airlines Flight 5210, which crashed 2 years earlier, claiming 55 lives. The flight's first officer, James Polhinka, was the pilot flying at the time and was the sole survivor. The NTSB, National Transportation Safety Board, launched an investigation to determine the causes of the crash and identify any safety issues that could prevent similar incidents in the future. Key errors in the incident included the crew's failure to notice the runway mistake during pre-flight checks and taxiing, as well as the control tower at the airport being staffed by only one controller who was not monitoring the takeoff as required by regulations. Contributing factors involved inadequate communication and situational awareness by the flight crew, compounded by a poorly lit taxiway and runway layout, which led to confusion, especially as the airport was undergoing construction at the time. Runway 826 at Bluegrass Airport was closed in March 2009, and a new 4,000-foot, 1,200-meter runway 927 was opened on August 4, 2010. The new runway was constructed in a separate location, not connected to runway 22, and has fully replaced the area where the crash occurred. Families of 45 of the 47 passengers filed lawsuits against Comair for negligence, while the families of the remaining 2 victims settled before filing. The trial was set to begin on August 4, 2008, but was postponed after Comair reached settlements with most families. Comair sued the airport authority for issues with runway signs and markings, and the FAA for staffing only 1 air traffic controller, despite regulations requiring 2. The case against the airport was dismissed due to sovereign immunity, and Comair reached a settlement with the U.S. government, with the government accepting 22% of the liability and Comair 78%. Most families settled, but after a 4-day trial, Brian Woodward's family was awarded $7.1 million in compensatory damages, a verdict upheld despite Comair's objections. The case was initially set for a punitive damages trial, but the judge later ruled Comair could not be punished for its pilot's actions. In May 2012, James Polhinka, the sole survivor, filed a lawsuit against the airport and the company that designed the runway and lights. Additionally, the families of 21 passengers filed lawsuits against him. The opening skit of the 2006 Emmy Awards featured host Conan O'Brien spoofing a plane crash similar to the one depicted in the TV show Lost. The Emmys were airing on the same night as the actual plane crash, leading to widespread criticism and accusations of the skit being tasteless. In memory of those we've lost, may their stories live on in our hearts forever.